Biafrans, am I coming out? Yes. All right. The hour is here, and we all know the reason why we are here today. We are here for our freedom because it's our right. And today is our first congressional briefing. And we have our special guest here. We Biafrans are familiar with who he is. He's someone who advocates for freedom, human rights, and also religious rights. We have our special guest, Marco Ruby. And Ruby is Senior Fellow, American Enterprise Institute. Thank you, Marco.
Thank you very much, Mr. Acting Prime Minister. I don't need, first of all, it's good to see Biafra represented so well in Washington, D.C. Unlike in Nigeria, and unlike in Finland, we're not going to arrest dissidents. I'm a historian by training, and especially with this audience, we don't need to tell you that Biafra may have redeclared its independence, but it is a long history. And if we count the maps that European merchants, geographers, and other travelers made dating back to the 17th century, then Biafra is actually older than the United States of America. We're not talking about a so-called secession. We're talking about decolonization. And when we look at Africa today, we must recognize that the problem of colonialism is no longer based in London and in Paris. It's based in places like Abuja and Lagos. The fact of the matter is, and for that matter, Yaoundé as well, the fact of the matter is that we are witnessing a second wave of decolonization in Africa right now. Biafra, Amazonia, Somaliland are at the front line of a struggle for freedom. Religious freedom, as well as simply personal, economic freedom, political freedom. The fact of the matter is, though, when we talk about that front line of colonialism, Biafra, Amazonia, Somaliland, we're also talking about a response to genocide. The fact of the matter is, when we look at the modern history of Biafra and we see some of the key figures represented on this podium, and it's so appropriate that we're sitting here in a room dedicated to Veterans Affairs, to honor the veterans of the Biafra struggle. The fact of the matter is that they did not start the struggle for Biafran rights. Nigeria did. Nigeria has agency. They have decision-making. No one forced Nigeria to undertake the pogroms of 1966. That was a decision that was made in Lagos. And what we have seen, the struggle for freedom in Biafra, is a natural response to the repression, which is now more than 60 years old inside Nigeria, especially with regard to Biafra. Now, we can talk about genocide, and unfortunately, what has occurred in Biafra from in the late 1960s and so forth isn't the only case of genocide that the 20th century has seen. But what makes the history and the recognition of the Biafran genocide so important is this. When the Jews suffered the Holocaust, Germany afterwards acknowledged the Holocaust. The ideology that led to Nazism became stigmatized. Yes, there are still Nazis today, but it is an ideology which is outside the realm of acceptable belief. The problem with genocide denial isn't simply a denial of fact, a denial of history. But when you don't acknowledge the genocide, then what you're actually doing is throwing a life raft to the ideology upon which that genocide occurred. So when you have someone like the late Muhammadu Buhari, whose hands were covered in blood from the events of the Biafra genocide, rise to the presidency of Nigeria without anyone acknowledging his role, that simply perpetrates and legitimizes that genocide. Now, when it comes to genocide denial, I also have this to say. When people debate foreign policy in the United States, one of the progressive slogans that we hear time and time again is no blood for oil. Well, I have a message for Alexander Stubb. No genocide for oil. Finland has been a disgrace. Stubb has kowtowed to Turkey at the expense of the Kurds, at the expense of other dissidents, for the sake of getting Turkey to lift its de facto veto for Finland's NATO membership. Now he's kowtowing to the Nigerian government by arresting Simon Ekpa for the sole reason of advocating against genocide and of providing, frankly, at this point, the only reasonable way forward given the actions of the Nigerian state. Now, we can't engage in wishful thinking, and unfortunately that has been the problem in the United States. I would argue that Europe is more engaged in a cynicism, where they simply want Nigeria's oil, and let's be frank, it's not Nigeria's oil. No. It's Biafra's oil, the Delta region and so forth. The fact of the matter is they feel it's easier to have a relationship with a dictator, and they're going to look the other way. Never let the Europeans pretend that they stand as a representative of human rights when they act in such a cynical, racist, and way that is so contrary to life, liberty, justice, freedom, political rights. The fact of the matter is, the Europeans need to be called out each and every day for that. Finland, especially. Now, I would go so far as saying Finland doesn't deserve the plaudits that so many people, Amnesty International, Human Rights Watch, tend to ascribe to Scandinavian powers. I would today argue that through its actions behind the scenes, by laundering the Nigerian government, by allowing, by cynically using this mantle which it had developed over decades as a protector of human rights, that Finland has become one of the most cynical promoters of human rights abuses, on par with Russia, with China, and with others. The only difference is Russia and China are much more open about what they're doing. Finland thinks they can have it both ways. Now, when it comes to the United States, however, the United States isn't blameless. We have two problems here. The first is the problem of the American perception of history. Whether you're Republican, whether you're Democrat, I don't care. And the fact of the matter is, Biafra, like Cyprus, like India, should be a bipartisan cause. There's nothing partisan about freedom and liberty. And I say that as someone who personally is a Republican, but I was a Congressional Black Caucus Foundation fellow, working for the late Congressman Bill Brgie, who was a Democrat. So I say this not just as wishful thinking, but someone who truly believes in the importance of principle and its triumph over cynical partisanship. But let's face it, both the Republicans and the Democrats have a problem, and American society in general, and that's our general ignorance of history. In our own political culture, whether it's a Republican coming in after years of Democratic power or a Democrat coming in after years of Republican power, there's a tendency to believe that history is only 4 or 8 years long, and that every president who enters the Oval Office or Secretary of State who enters that 7th floor of their office of the Dwight D. Eisenhower building in Foggy Bottom, that they can somehow have a tabula rasa, that the past doesn't matter. Well, let me set the record straight. The past does matter. The past can't be forgotten. And we wouldn't be here today if it weren't for repeated efforts to work within the system, only to be crushed by Nigerian corruption, Nigerian dictatorship, and Nigerian cynicism. And if I may, Nigerian religious animosity on the parts of some sectarian communities. Now, one problem, of course, is then that U.S. historical ignorance, and this is where it's so important for the Biafrans to really rally, to meet with Democrats, to meet with Republicans, not to meet and spend all those times meeting with those who agree with you, but actually concentrating their efforts on those who disagree. The fact of the matter is, Americans need an education in history, and they need an education in history quickly, because the price of American ignorance is going to be tragedy and more killings in Biafra. Now, that's one problem. The other problem is a tendency of the United States to engage in wishful thinking. There are 2 types of ambassadors that the State Department sends abroad. And I'm not talking about professional ambassadors, civil service, foreign service versus political appointees. There's some good political appointees, there's some bad political appointees, and the same thing is true with the professional foreign service. But among ambassadors, however they get their job, there's 2 general styles. One style, and we've seen this too often in Nigeria, and I can name other places where we've seen this, the Democratic Republic of Congo, Somalia as well, takes an ambassador, and that ambassador believes that the best way to represent American interests is to ingratiate themselves to a dictator, to have zero tension with that dictator, and that oftentimes means amplifying that dictator's propaganda, his rhetoric, to his face. Well, the State Department should realize and should recognize that dictators have no shortage of sycophants. It shouldn't be the job of American ambassadors to join the sycophants. George Shultz, the Reagan-era Secretary of State, was famous when a new ambassador was appointed. He would bring them up to his office, which was an elegant room, not unlike this which we're standing in the U.S. Congress. And he had a big globe next to his desk, and he would always ask the ambassador appointee, point to your country on the globe. And if they pointed to Nigeria, or they pointed to France, or they pointed to Burma, or they pointed to Pakistan, God help them, he would point to the United States and say, this is your country. You never forget it. When we send ambassadors abroad, their job should be to speak truth to power. It shouldn't be to kowtow to a dictator. And if that means calling out Nigeria for its abuses in Biafra, for its abuses of religious freedom, so be it. It may mean you're not going to get invited as the ambassador to this reception or that state dinner. Well, that's the price of being an ambassador and being truthful. Your job isn't to make a dictator feel good. It's to promote American interests as a U.S. ambassador. And one of the top American interests is religious freedom. The reason why religious freedom should be such a top priority is it really is the canary in the coal mine. It really is the metric by which to see whether a dictator's rhetoric and actions meet. When former Secretary of State Antony Blinken went to Nigeria and he met with the late Muhammadu Buhari, and he removed Nigeria from the religious freedom watch list, that was wishful thinking. It didn't make Nigeria a better place. It didn't stop the killings in Biafra. It didn't stop the killings elsewhere in Nigeria. All it did was signal to the Nigerian government that they could quite literally get away with murder. Wishful thinking has consequence. The United States also needs not to believe its own spin and not to try to force, cynically use the Biafran issue to advance its other causes. So, for example, I don't know how many times I've talked to people who are partial to the Nigerian government in the United States and will accept the Nigerian lies. And they will say that what we see happening in the Southeast has nothing to do with religious hatred, with religious intolerance on the part of the Nigerian government. It's all about climate change. Let me tell you this, and I've actually said this to the State Department. Climate change does not charter buses in order to ship Fulani militiamen into Biafra to kill Christians. That's not China, that's not climate change. That's ethnic cleansing. That's religious hatred, that's sectarian cleansing. American wishful thinking isn't polite. It doesn't make diplomacy easier. It simply gets people killed. And this is also why it's so important for the Biafran people to rise up and not only work to establish their freedom in Biafra, to reestablish their country. It's also important for them to educate Americans. Now, as many of you know, my background and what I did when I worked at the Pentagon actually focused much more on Middle East history. That's what my PhD is in, and so forth. And having worked for more than 2 decades on issues that have some parallels, let me say this, and this may be controversial to say. Nigeria can't always be the enemy. And the reason I say this is, while Biafra must be free, there can be no compromise on it. At the same time, an independent Biafra is only going to thrive when Nigeria, its neighbor, is at peace with itself and with its neighbors. The fact of the matter is, the Biafrans are an engine of democracy. They were always historically the intellectual capital, the economic capital of Nigeria when they were under Nigerian occupation. But at the same time, they have a role not only to win freedom for Biafrans, but that freedom is only going to be confirmed when Nigerians also win their freedom, when corruption no longer governs Nigeria, and when the Nigerian military and Nigerian politicians don't cynically use religion in order to advance their own Swiss bank accounts. This is important, and this is a conversation, for example, it's understandable that you focus on Biafra, but this is an example which I've had conversations in the past with Iraqi presidents and prime ministers, and Kurdish presidents and prime ministers, and there's a recognition, despite the century-long struggle of the Kurds, the so-called largest people without a nation, to win their freedom, to win their independence, many of them have also come to recognize that that independence is going to take real reform instead of ruin for their neighbor next door. I've had this conversation with the Cypriots and the Greeks, vis-a-vis Turkey as well. Turkey is a problem today, and Turkey is a problem which is going to work with the Nigerian government in order to kill Biafrans. But at the same time, what the Greeks and the Cypriots will tell you is, while today Turkey acts like an enemy, there can only be true peace once Turkey fundamentally reforms. And so it's important when you speak and when you advocate for your cause, not only to promote the freedom for Biafra, but to argue and to recognize that Biafran freedom is going to be symbiotic. It's going to bring stability to the region. Biafra is going to be a model, not only for Biafra, it's going to be a model for Nigeria, so that Nigeria can get its act together, even as Nigeria heads towards the precipice. No one wants to, let me put it this way, many of you are familiar with the American satirical newspaper, The Onion. I remember a headline in that satirical newspaper after Russia invaded Georgia in 2008. It was a fake announcement by Condoleezza Rice, the Secretary of State, who was arguing that the U.S. position is that no American allies should border Russia because it was just too difficult. The fact of the matter is, she was warning allies not to border Russia as if they have a choice. The fact of the matter is, it's in no one's interest. It's always going to be a problem for occupied Biafra and for independent Biafra to border a failed state, to border an irredentist state, to border an aggressive military dictatorship. Independent Biafra is going to need to recognize that as Nigeria fails, and let's face it, today it's a failing state. It's a building, it's a 10-story building that's ridden with termites. The fact of the matter is that every military leader inside Nigeria is going to try to distract their own Nigerian public by trying to whip up a frenzy against Biafra. So on one hand, you need to be prepared for that. And you recognize this because this is your history. But on the other hand, if there can be fundamental reform in Nigeria, then ultimately you will thrive and be the most prosperous country in Africa. Now, the other point I need to make, and this is not for the people here, but some of the people abroad, is that when you talk to Americans, especially non-Biafran Americans like myself, like congressmen and so forth, I am honored here to be with the acting Prime Minister. I hope someday to be with the non-acting Prime Minister, Simon Ekpa, as well, if he's ever sprung from his Finnish dungeon. But the fact of the matter is, as an American, as someone who obviously has no Nigerian heritage, it's not my job or my concern to decide who the leader of Biafra is. You ask any American like me, any white American, who cares about human rights, who cares about Biafran liberty, what I would say is, when Biafra becomes independent, all these disputes will fall by the wayside because you have monitored democratic elections. But if anyone starts to attack other Biafrans in the presence of European politicians, American politicians, United Nations diplomats, they are essentially creating treason against Biafra. Because what you're doing is is giving evidence to your enemies that Biafra isn't serious. Now, let me give you one example. When I came to Washington and began working in foreign policy in 1999, one of the first people I met was a gentleman named Brgie. He was the Washington representative of the Patriotic Union of Kurdistan. Now, the Kurds, I've referenced before, they're split between 4 different countries, so Biafra is a little bit luckier than this. At the same time, the Kurds in Iraq, in northern Iraq, are divided between 2 major political parties. One was Jalal Talabani's Patriotic Union of Kurdistan. The other was Masoud Barzani's Kurdistan Democratic Party. And between 1994 and 1997, these 2 Kurdish parties fought a civil war. To suggest that anger among the Kurds wasn't high would be an understatement. They hated each other's guts. 2,000 people remain missing to this day from that civil war in northern Iraq between the Kurdish parties. And again today, that region is essentially divided. Barham Saleh had a rule as the representative of one of the 2 Kurdish parties in Washington, D.C. His rule was, I will talk Kurdish politics to other Kurds, but I will never talk Kurdish politics when someone else is in the room. Because the only message that Washington needs to hear is Kurdistan must be free. The only message that Washington must hear today is that Biafra must be free. Decisions with regard to the leadership of Biafra are going to be made by Biafrans themselves. But the most important issue for everyone, whether they are legitimate or, frankly, whether they are illegitimate, is that Biafra must be free. Don't tweet against your political adversaries. Take the high road. Don't talk about your rivals to congressional staffers. And if your rivals talk about you, you may feel that it does you a disadvantage. Let me assure you, it does not. If the acting prime minister, if the acting cabinet are the ones who are speaking softly and achieving things, creating a new currency, creating the structures of state, ultimately every serious congressman, like Chris Smith, like Mark, one of the most important staffers on Capitol Hill, they are going to recognize you for what you are. Because only amateurs talk about their rivals. Those who are legitimate, those who are serious, those who are here today are the people who advance their cause. And make no mistake, momentum is on your side. So I speak here today, and I'm concluding my remarks right now, by thanking you for your activism, by welcoming you to the halls of Congress, where you are free to talk to anyone, and you don't need to risk arrest, because again, your words we're not in Finland. We don't have to talk about the Helsinki standard. The fact of the matter is, I hope to be here when the United Nations General Assembly recognizes Biafra as the 55th or 56th African state. And I have absolutely no doubt that I turn the floor back over to the acting Prime Minister.
Please, can we give a hand of applause? he fight for the global community. And it is a kind of one we need so that we can have a safer world and a better world, a world that will be great again. Thank you. My name is 9Geria Biafra Republic Government Acting Prime Minister. I'm here acting on behalf of His Excellency Mazi Simon Edward. As we are fighting for our freedom, we are making history and we tell our story to the world. And this is the first Biafra congressional briefing. If I tell you, you won't believe. Nigerian government, they protest to stop this hearing today. They protest. They have not started protesting. Thank you all for being here today. Thank you. It is an honor to speak today during this historical congressional briefing on Biafra, the first in modern times. I want to thank Michael Rubin, which we are just giving hand of applause now before, of the American Enterprise Institute for his unwavering support and friendship to the Biafran people. Today, I will provide a broad overview of Biafra issue for all those watching. Nigeria is oil-rich country. When we say Nigeria, it's Biafran oil. Marco just on his speech, he made it clear. It's Biafran oil. And a continent power in Africa. It is a multi-ethnic, multi-language, and multi-religious country with a population of about over 200 million people. There are three major ethnic groups: the Igbo, the Yoruba, and the Hausa Fulani, and 250 other smaller ethnic groups. The Hausa Fulani are predominantly Muslim and live in the northern Sahara of part of Nigeria. The Yoruba who live in the southwest are split almost even between Muslim and Christian. The Igbos, along with related tribes, whom we refer to as Biafrans, the interface of this submission, inhabit the southeast part of Nigeria, which is Biafra, and we are no longer Nigeria. We don't identify ourselves as Nigeria, we are Biafra. Part of Nigeria, which is combined population of over the Biafrans population and over 70 million. Biafrans are predominantly Christians and traditional worshippers, with constituencies also practicing Judaism. Their land is blessed with human and mineral resources, including vast hydrocarbon. Biafrans are very commercially inclined, industrious, and are given to scholarly and professionally pursuit in addition to their first nature of gifted martialized. They had an established grassroots democracy order known as the Omuna system, which is still practiced to this day, before the advent of colonization. They are very republican and egalitarian in nature and coexist peacefully with their neighbors, including northern Nigeria and Cameroon, prior to their amalgamation with the rest of Nigeria in 1914. Biafra then there was no single massacre of Biafrans anywhere in pre-amalgamation in the so-called Nigeria. This is noteworthy. The first start of this program that was levied on Biafrans, particularly the Igbos, among them happened in 1948 in northern Nigeria, where Biafrans were, without any justification, massacred just for being Biafran or merely looking like one, pivoting on false narrative of the so-called Igbo coup, an Igbo plot to dominate Nigeria. Nigeria's military officers and the police and notable civilians, mostly from the north, planned and executed the Biafrans. Over 3 million Biafrans were murdered between 29th May 1966 and 12th January 1970. And had the Biafrans not resisted by unilaterally declaring its independence, the massacre would have been incalculable and more horrendous. There is credible evidence that sectional Nigeria provoked the Nigerian Civil War as a cover-up to accomplish the genocide that they have begun against Biafra. Generally, and the Igbos in particular, as far back as 1948 in northern Nigeria, the difference this time was to take it to their homeland, where they had fled and taken refuge under the Hitler-declared Republic of Biafra, a nation born in dire necessity and desperation to survive a genocide. The following aspect from recent declassified U.S. Embassy diplomatic dispatch of the era on the program and the war that follows is instructive, and it states that the North was minded to use the war as a tool to resort its dominance of natural affairs. Malan Gagu Damboa, regional editor of Morning Post, told the American consul in Cairo, "No one should kid himself that this is a fight between the East and the rest of the Nigeria. It is a fight between the North and the Igbos." The scale of the carnage was such that had the Roman or International Criminal Court statutes been enacted, Nigeria's entire military leadership and its top civilians enablers would have been prosecuted for genocide and crime against humanity, for orchestrating the destruction of Biafrans in whole or in substantial part because of their ethnicity. And to make it worse, those that oversaw the genocide and their natural political successor continue to control Nigeria and thus ensure that no accountability was exacted for a crime of such shocking scale. And to date, no apology or remorse has emanated from official Nigeria or any of the prime state actors. It is this state of affairs and the post-war political suppression of Biafra that grandfathered the insurgency of Biafra agitation in recent times. The modern-day Biafra independent movement surfaced in 1999 with the creation of movement of the actualization of sovereign state of Biafra, Mazur, in 1999 by Chief Owazurike, in 2012 by Mazi Nnamdi Kanu, a protege of Chief Owazurike, then created the Indigenous People of Biafra, IPOB, in 2012, which became the predominant Biafra independence organization post-war agitation for Biafra and support for IPOB accelerated in late 2015 when former President Muhammad Buhari systematically embarked on widespread anti-Igbo policies, coupled with his open toleration of Fulani Islamic terror that was Brgie, the northern reach of the Igbo land. It was in the face of this that the indigenous people of Biafra IPOB and the idea of Biafra government in exile gained much traction as protector and defender of the people that have been detained by the government of the day of Nigeria. It is to be noted that virtually all of us present at the vanguard of pursuing for Biafra were born after Nigeria Civil War ended in 1970. So in our renewed quest for Biafra, we are not driven by any sense of personal loss of the war, revenge or bitterness, but by instead a sense that our people are being mistreated badly and are beginning in again becoming the victim of another crippled genocide. Vast majority of the Biafrans share the same view, even so, quietly because of fear of retribution by the Nigerian government or other non-state actor in alliance with the government. Amnesty International reports that since the advent of the former Buhari administration in 2015, Nigerian insecurity forces have killed more than thousands of Biafra and wounded many more while they held peaceful protests against the killing and for self-determination. Amnesty International says that many of those pro-Biafra protesters were shot and killed in their sleep, and others while they gathered in churches to pray. Many of the protesters were shot and killed from behind while they tried to escape. Contemporaries country report released by the United States Department confirmed such of this, particularly the Nigerian government declaration of IPOB as a terrorist organization in October 2017, which gave a dubious legal cover to Nigeria's security forces to resort extrajudicial killing of Biafra perceived by self-determination agitator or members of IPOB. As such, as you are reading this, the other killings of Biafrans by the Fulani Islamic terrorists is ongoing as we speak. The killing have not stopped to date, especially in the northern boundary of Igbo land, such that several innocent villagers were murdered in Ebonyi State in February 2025. Igbo communities to bury their brothers, sisters, fathers, mothers, sons, and daughters almost every month. And after times, the violence is maliciously and falsely attributed to unknown government or faceless Biafran separatists. In the face of all this, and in the perception that rogue elements of the security forces are complicit, the Biafran government in exile emerged as beacon of hope for Biafrans that have become distrustful of the government. It bears mentioning that when the agitation for Biafra accelerated in late 2015, the response of Nigerian government was disappointingly non-pragmatic. Instead of acknowledging the burgeoning popularity of the agitation and take bona fide measure to contain it through constructive engagement or dialogue, the government went wide with deadly and extrajudicial law enforcement action that backfired by fueling the agitation to levels not seen since the end of the Civil War in 1970. This misguided law enforcement action turned a dangerous corner and boom rage when the government went rogue by extraordinary rendition of our leader Mazi Nnamdi Kanu, the Biafran leader from Kenya, in late June 2021. No doubt this is an avoidable overreaction that has composed Nigeria's legal system, triggered the international legal order against Nigeria, and bettered the government-driven insecurity that have rocked Southeast Nigeria, which is Biafra, to this day. In between, Fulani Islamic terrorists have capitalized on the situation to dissuade Southeast Nigeria to no end. After Mazi Nnamdi Kanu illegal kidnapping, one of Mazi Nnamdi Kanu proteges, Finland-based Biafran activist, His Excellency Mazi Simon Ekpa, took charge of the Biafra independence movement and created the Biafra Republic government in Brgie, of which he is the Prime Minister. As the next illustration of the Biafra independent movement, the Brgie has galvanized the support of the Biafran population and has engaged in high-level dialogue in Washington, D.C. with U.S. government officials. Furthermore, Brgie organized a self-referendum in which more than 50 million Biafrans voted in favor of independence. Brgie held an independence convention in Lahti, Finland, which started November 29 to December 2, 2024, in which Brgie declared the independence of Biafra on December 2, 2024. December 2, 2024, Biafra was redeclared. The government of Nigeria, according to Mr. Ekpa, has orchestrated 5 assassination attempts against his life. After allegedly failing to assassinate Mr. Ekpa, the government of Nigeria successfully pressured the government of Finland to arrest Mr. Ekpa in November 2024 on political motivated charges. The government of Finland then issued an indictment against Mr. Ekpa, as well as subsequent conviction, which demonstrates the political nature of the persecution at the instigation of government of Nigeria. Indictment by Finland, issued in May of 2025, alleged that Mr. Ekpa participated and supported a terrorist organization, even though pro-Biafra organizations are not designated as terrorist group in Finland or anywhere in the European Union. In fact, the only country in the world where pro-Biafra organization, in fact, the only country in the world where pro-Biafra organization we are designated is in Nigeria. For the government of Finland to accept that the Finnish citizen holding political position regarding internal policy matters within Nigeria is somehow a criminal offense in Finland is a nonsensical and absurd, and demonstrate that Finland is engaging in a political motivated prosecution. Nigeria conduct toward both Mazi Nnamdi Kanu and Simon Ekpa demonstrate transnational repression. At the moment, the issue of Biafra, the insecurity in southeast Nigeria, which is Biafra land, and all the unpleasant aftermath cannot be resolved while the federal government of Nigeria persists in detention of Mazi Kanu. while Finland persists in detention of Mazi Simon Ekpa and Biafrans continue to be marginalized. On this basis of foregoing, we must respectfully suggest the following to the U.S. government. One, we urge the United States government to invoke the Global Magnitsky Human Rights Accountability Act, Summit 5 of Title S 11 of 114-28328 to identify and impose travel and financial restrictions on all officials of the federal government of Nigeria and any Nigerian non-state actor implicated in the killing of Biafrans, Christians in their homeland in southeast Nigeria, which is Biafra land. We urge the United States government, including through targeted sanction and or tariff, to pressure the government of Nigeria to release Mazi Nnamdi Kanu and allow him a safe passage out of Nigeria. Three, we urge the United States government to pressure the government of Finland regarding its political motivated trial and conviction against pro-Biafra active Simon Ekpa. Four, we urge the United States government to deny all bilateral assistance and visa to officials of the government of Nigeria if it continues to engage in transnational repression against pro-Biafra activists, and if Simon Ekpa and Mazi Nnamdi Kanu continue to be held in detention. Consequently, Biafra through Brgie are ready to engage with the international community, include the United States of America government, especially in seeking to establish a newly independent Biafran state. The Brigade is willing to engage in deal-making with U.S. government and come to economic defense and security agreement with the United States. Biafrans represented by Brgie are willing to negotiate with the U.S. in reciprocity and ever, given the loss of key U.S. military base in Sahel countries, as well as the Nigerian government ever closer relations with United States adversaries, a United States designated Islamic terrorist organization. In addition, Nigeria's persecution of Christians continues to worsen and further adds to the case of independent homeland for Nigeria. Christian population just as U.S. recognized of Somalia present great benefit to U.S. strategic interest in East Africa.
In the heart of Africa, a nation bleeds, not from a single wound, but from 1,000 cuts, inflicted by a forced union never meant to endure. This is the story of 9Geria, a giant built on false foundations, now straining beneath the weight of its own contradictions. And at the center of that storm stands the unbroken spirit of Biafra, crying out for freedom from a nightmare that has consumed millions. It began with the rivers of blood in 1966. Thousands of Biafran men, women and children, professionals, traders, students and families who had built lives across the Federation became targets in the northern city, fueled by ethnic hatred and religious hostility. Mobs descended upon innocent civilians. They were slaughtered in their homes, in crowded markets, and aboard trains carrying desperate families back to the east. streets were littered with bodies, rivers choked with corpses. Survivors returned to the east carrying trauma, grief, and the painful realization that they were no longer wanted in the Nigerian Union. Biafra, Biafra, voice of truth and freedom. Biafra, Biafra, the rising sun will rise again. Then came May 30th, 1967. A desperate act of survival. What followed were 30 months of unimaginable devastation. The Nigerian military, armed and backed by foreign powers, including Britain, Russia, and Egypt, surrounded the young republic. A total blockade was imposed. No food, no medicine, no escape. Starvation became a weapon of war. 5 million, mostly civilians, many of them children, perished during what was not just a conflict but genocide against Biafra. Bombs fell on markets, hospitals and villages. Communities were razed. The world watched in silence while famine hollowed the faces of innocent children. Some nations spoke out, but many turned away. The war officially ended.
It's good to have you again on Voice of Biafra TV, and it is Friday night. Welcome to Voice of Biafra TV. And tonight we shall be joining the Prime Minister of the Biafra Republic Government in Exile, all the way from Washington, D.C. Prime Minister, can you hear me from Washington, D.C.?
Yes, I can hear you. Am I coming out?
Very well, sir. Welcome to Voice of Biafra TV, and the stage is yours, sir.
Thank you very much, Minister of Information. Thank you for your good work. We Biafrans, we appreciate you. We appreciate you very, very much. This journey that we have embarked on, no going back. Greetings to all Biafrans, both those that believe in our cause, in this cause, and those that are still contemplating, thinking about one thing or the other, whether they will fight for their freedom or not. Greeting to you all. What we are doing, we call it freedom fighting. It will not be given to us in a platter of gold. We cannot win this war with emotion. We cannot win this fight with self-centeredness, envy, jealousy. I am a freedom fighter, and I'm so passionate about it. One of my customers today at my office, he saw pictures that pictures that hang at my office. And he asked me some few questions, what I'm doing and what's going on. I educate him about Biafra. And he confesses by saying that I'm so passionate about what I'm doing. And I say, yes, I love it. It gave me joy. Because I'm fighting to save humanity. I'm fighting to save Biafran people. I actually encourage this my customer to support the cause of Biafran people, to contribute financially, otherwise, and of which I believe, he will do. If you a true Biafran freedom fighter, you will fight in your dream, in your sleep, when you wake up, wherever you go. You will not be ashamed to talk about fighting for your freedom. You will not be fighting in hiding. You have some that trying or they're doing whatever they can to champion this cause. You don't know who they are. There is too many faceless people on social media trying to educate Biafran people what to do, how to fight, where to go. You don't even know who they are. Like the one they call Biafra United. Have any of you seen his face before? People like that are saboteurs, evil people. He can commit a crime and walk right in front of you. And while even smiling, you can't hold him accountable because he's faceless. And shame to those that are listening to him, following him. Now this fool is advocating, campaigning, telling people to go to Finland for protest. Is he going to be there? The answer is no. If you are not proud of what you are doing, you are not genuine. If you can't show your face, you are not genuine. If you don't practice what you preach, you are not genuine. You cannot tell Biafrans to buy their ticket, carry their luggage, pull themselves together, travel far and wide, thousands of miles, and even cost money to get there. While you are pushing them to go, and you are behind. You need to lead by example. They want to champion what we are doing. Why these people are clueless. Biafrans, we have been deceived time without number. That will not keep happening. A lot of these fools have mocked us. They have laughed at us. They have said all manners of things about us. That will not stop us from fighting for our freedom. When we start going to Washington, D.C., I've been meetings with members of Congress since 2024. Some of these people, they appreciate our work. They appreciate what we are doing. But today, they are fighting against us, calling us them. If you are not genuine, leave us alone. Stop sabotaging this great movement. The whole world not know that Nigeria is a failed state, that Nigerian government is corrupt. It's time that we all fight together. It's time that we go harder. It's time that we fight the one common enemy that is doing everything to Islamize us, to terrorize us, to kill us. Nigerian government once denying there is no Christian genocide. They are still denying. EU, European Union, they help Nigeria by funding these terrorists. The same EU just voted about a week ago condemning what is happening in Nigeria. EU now acknowledge that there is a genocide going on in Biafra and in Nigeria. EU, European Union, Europe, if you all agree that there is a genocide going on, that Christians have been massacred in Nigeria and in Biafra, why are EU supporting this terrorist country called Nigeria? Why is EU funding these terrorists? It is also a welcome development that they acknowledge there is a genocide going on. Biafrans, those that are fighting against Biafra Republic government in exile, those that are fighting against our freedom, shield your sword. Go after these terrorists. Go after this Islamic jihadist regime of Nigeria. They are the enemy. Don't hold back. If you're able to get hold of Tinubu, take him down. It's your enemy. He is the head of the terrorists. He is the commander-in-chief of the terrorists. If you're able to get hold of Shetima, take him down. That is how you work. When United States of America strike the Iranian regime, we all know what they did. They went after the head of the terrorists, all the Ayatollahs. That is how you win a war. Nigerian government sponsor the terrorists. They are the terrorists. Nigeria is a failed state. It can never be redeemed. The people in that region can be saved. But Nigeria cannot be saved. The people can be saved. So please, all these faceless independent media, bloggers, channel your energy towards this terrorist government of Nigeria. Channel your energy towards this Islamic jihadist. Channel your energy towards this Fulani herdsmen. Stop fighting Brgie. Stop sabotaging what we are doing. Before this briefing, we all watched the video that was playing earlier. When we testified last year, September 18, in Capitol Hill, Washington, D.C., our testimony is all about Biafra. It's all about how United States of America will hold Nigeria accountable for the atrocity the government of Nigeria is committing. We recommend several options to U.S. government how they will deal with Nigerian terrorist state. And also about the release of Mazi Nnamdi Kanu and Mazi Simon Ekpa. We did not talk about how Mazi Ogechukwu Nkere will enrich himself, or how Brgie cabinet members will enrich themselves. Everything we recommend during that hearing is how to deal with Nigerian terrorist state. Because Nigeria is a failed state, and Nigeria is a terrorist state as the center. If you are a Biafra, you don't wake up. What is happening in Middle Belt in Benue will be a child play to what will happen in Biafra land. Remember, we have a lot of enemies, even enemies within. Too many enemies. The good news is that we are going to win this battle. It don't matter what they threw on us. It don't matter how they sabotage us. As long as our hands are clean, as long as we fight in a just cause, as long as we fighting just for our survival, we are not fighting to go and Christianize the northern region or the southwest. We are not fighting to invade other region territory. We are in self-defense. We are no longer agitating, crying like babies. Rather, we are liberated. We are in liberation mode. Practice what you preach. The problem with Biafran people have been having for some time is bad leadership. Because of the kind of democratic system we practice from time immemorial, the system of this autonomy that every community is like a country of its own. It makes my people so self-centered. We have been having bad leaders that don't practice what they preach, leaders that are so self-centered, leaders that consider themselves Messiah, leaders that even believe they are the savior of Biafran people. Leaders that believe without them, you as Biafra, you can do nothing. We have some leaders that whatever you do, you can never please them. They are so selfish. What makes a true leader is how you lead your people, how you're able to unify them instead of dividing, destroying the same people that you are fighting for. When you preach, you don't practice what you preach. That makes you a hypocrite, evil. This sabotage must stop. But as long as I, Mazi Ogechukwu Nkere, with the cabinet members of Biafra Republic government in Israel and the de facto government, reps are admin, and well-meaningful Biafrans that have waken up to fight this great fight, We will not surrender. We will not stop fighting for you, Biafran people. We are your servants. We are not asking you to worship us. A lot of leaders before us, they have destroyed and poisoned the mind of so many Biafrans. And so many Biafrans have starting to ask questions if we are really serious or not. Please, if you are a Biafran, I'm here to renew our commitment to serve you, to fight, to make sure we totally free ourselves from Nigeria. Please, don't hesitate to support this great cause. Please support your freedom. If you don't, what will befall the land of Biafra will befall all of us. Because when these terrorists come, they don't ask if you are Mazi Ogechukwunkere, or you are Mazi John, or you are Mazi Jonathan. They massacre everyone. Please, join me in this fight. Join us in this freedom fight. It's very necessary that you join in this freedom fighting so that we can prevent this massacre that is about to happen. Too many evil people out there have poisoned, destroyed the mind of our people. Mazi Nnamdi Kanu at the time preached, and he said he commands 17 commanders, 17 commanders, army commanders in Biafra land. What changed from commanding 17 army commanders to security ESA? What change? You can't move forward and keep going backward. It's a shame. No one is perfect. And no leader you expect to be perfect. Some leaders are good in talking, preaching, exposing, educating, enlightening people. Some might not be good in administration. Some leader might be good in being well-spoken or in bringing people in. These leaders might not be good or have the clue of how we'll get our freedom. We have moved from agitating to liberation. There is nothing like ESN in Biafra land. Anyone parading himself in Biafra land as ESN is enemy of Biafra people. What we Biafra people have is Biafra Defense Force, Liberation Army. We are liberating. Mazi Nnamdi Kanu, with due respect, you cannot open your mouth and say you command 17 army commanders. Army and ESN is two different things. ESN is Nigeria playbook. Whoever that is bringing that idea of ESN or talking about ESN is a way to sell this struggle or to sabotage this movement. It's not the playbook of the Biafran people. Just like when you heard about the so-called Sokoto Declaration. How far? The so-called Sokoto Declaration The purpose is to renew commitment of one Nigerianist. The declaration is not for the Biafran people. It's a scam, fraudulent. It's a playbook of the Nigerian terrorist state. With due respect, Mazi Nnamdi Kanu have exposed the Nigerian people, Nigerian government, time without number years ago. Now he is in prison. We are fighting, doing everything we can for his release. Just like the hearing we have last year in Washington, D.C., September 18, we recommend to U.S. what to do and how to deal with Nigerian terrorists. And I, Mazi Ogechukwu Nkire, also submit a written testimony June last year to Congress. And we mentioned Mazi Nnamdi Kanu severally and Simon Ekpa. These are the parts and way we'll be working hard for his release. As long as the Nigerian government did not release him, we will not take order from him. Anything coming from there is null and void. You can't take order from a prisoner because he is not free to speak for himself. He is not free to lead. Upon his release, we will have a word with him. We Biafran people urge him to stay strong, resolute, unshakable. We urge him not to interfere in what we are doing so that he don't destroy and sabotage this movement. Months ago, I sent a message across that Mazi Nnamdi Kanu should not let Biafran people turn their back on him. He can be fighting for Biafra, while on the other hand destroying the same cause that he's fighting for. I personally, Mazi Ogechukwu Nkire, and the rest of the Biafran people, we have fought very hard. Biafras in homeland have been sitting at home for how long? In solidarity of his release. We don't want him to turn around to spit at our face like we do nothing, like we are nobody. He needs to align himself and do what is right. Then if you don't know what to do, it's better he said nothing. If not, Biafran people will turn against him. And for the Nigerian state, the kidnap of Mazi Nnamdi Kanu will be the worst mistake. Because even upon his kidnap, we are moving with speed. 2 days ago, I have an oral testimony in a top department in U.S. government. Everything I testified that very day is about Biafra and about how U.S. government will deal with Nigeria. This testimony is not with Congress, it's not in that department. It is in a different department. If you know, you know. But very soon, we will be putting out a press release about the oral testimony that I submitted just a few days ago. Why I, Mazi Ogechukwu Nkire, and Biafra Republic government in exile is testifying against Nigeria, why we are fighting for you, You have some Biafrans suing us, taking us to court, just like Simon Ekwan. What a pure and shameful sabotage. That is sabotage at its height. The same man called Simon that is there asking Biafrans to come to Finland to protest and ask for his release. This same Simon Ekwan is suing Biafra Republic government in exile. This is what you call hypocrite. Evil people everywhere. We can remember leaders that have done good in the past, but whenever they start to sabotage what we are doing, we will call them out by name. Mazi Nnamdi Kanu and Simon Ekpa at a stand right now, they are not helping our cause. Rather, they are sabotaging this great movement. They have destroyed a lot of family, where some family, the husband will be talking about Brgie, the wife will be talking about IPOB, fourth administration. While some family, the wife will be talking about Simon Ekpa group of BGC, CRC. While the husband will be talking about Brgie. These two leaders are supposed to put the house together. I think and I believe their time is up. That is the reason why they are out of touch. I, Mazio Geshukunkere, completely understand that one being in enemy's camp is not easy. And one being in a place where they are not free, especially being locked up in one place, after 1 day, 1 week, 2 weeks, 1 month, 1 year, it is not easy. It is not easy. I feel their pain. We feel their pain. We pray that they will be released shortly. They will be released soon. But at the same time, we don't want them to destroy what they believe on, what they believe and they be fighting for. If they want to destroy this great cause, they better do it upon their release, so that we can confront them. Not now that they are in prison. Some will like, why are you fighting somebody who is in prison? Why don't you even feel the pain that they are feeling in prison? We do, I do. But at the same time, if you know you are in prison fighting for Biafra, don't destroy Biafra from prison. Like Simon suing Brgie from prison. I hope the day of the court, he will appear. I hope the day of the court, Simon Ekpa from Finland will come to United States of America and attend the court proceeding or the court hearing. Because if you know you're not going to be there, I don't know the reason why you even initiate the lawsuit or you even decide to sue the same government that is fighting for you. That is pure sabotage. Madam Azoka, a woman, a lady called Madam Azoka. She has been behind the scene, sabotaging, destroying this great movement. Azoka, one, stop your evil way. Information?
Yes, we are still on, sir. We are still on. Go ahead, sir.
Madam Azoka is behind, I believe she's working with this evil woman called Adonu. For those that don't know who she is, I don't know who. She is one of the ladies that make Ngozo Rabeze. that is destroying our movement. She's one of those that make her who she is today. Is she still working with Ngozi Rabezi? The answer is no. She moved on from there. Why Madam Azoka is behind her, just to make sure everything collapses. I don't know who now joined Imam Mahmoud. His name is Imam Madu Abum. And Chioma, Ekoma, Bryson Ekoma, and other groups plan a coup to overthrow to destroy this great movement. I don't know who is behind everything. Today, is these people still together? I don't know who, and Bryson Ekom, and Imam Madu Abum, which is Imam Mahmoud. They have all scattered. They have more than 3 or 4 fractions after they planned their coup last year to overthrow the government, which they did not succeed. They are now split into like 4 or 5 different groups. All they do is to destroy what we are doing from one platform to another, one group to another. And why all this is happening? Azoka Wankwo, she's behind everything. She's fueling it. Evil woman. Evil people, repent. Repent, all you evil people. And for those of you that are fighting Mazio Gechukunkire, you will not succeed. This journey that we have embarked on, this journey, no one born of a woman can stop us. United States of America officials we have met so far, they are pleased with what we are doing. We are working very hard behind closed doors. Like the testimony, the oral testimony, not written testimony, the oral testimony that I submitted 2 days ago. If it had been sometime last year or last 2 years, they will block it. Because when they hear Biafra, Biafra, they will say, no, they are not ready for Biafra now. For them to allow me to testify, and I was represented fully as Biafra Republic government in exile Prime Minister, of which I am also addressed by Honorable Prime Minister Ogechukwu. Correct. For that department to be comfortable to acknowledge Biafra, to acknowledge what I represent. And after my testimony, the chair asked a question. Do anyone have any question to ask? The community, all the members of the committee said no. That means they all concur and agree with me and you. They all believe that Nigeria is a failed state. They all believe that Nigeria is a scam, is fraudulent. If they do believe that Nigeria is gone, what about you as a Biafra? Are you still campaigning for P2B, evil man? Before I get to the Nigerian politicians, Honorable Minister of Information, please, can you play this trending testimony from the Congressman Greg? Let's hear what Congressman Greg have to say. Thank you very much.
Speaker, I rise in strong support for my amendment to increase the withholding threshold for assistance while keeping in place benchmarks that demand Nigeria take effective steps to address the violence and persecution that continue to devastate the country. Nigeria has faced a horrific wave of violence that its corrupt government has failed to address. For years, and especially in impunity. Christian women. Speaker, I rise in strong support for my amendment to increase the withholding threshold for assistance to Nigeria from 50% to 100%, while keeping in place benchmarks that demand Nigeria take effective steps to address the violence and persecution that continue to devastate the country. Nigeria has faced a horrific wave of violence that its corrupt government has failed to address. For years, and especially in recent months, Christians and other religious minorities in Nigeria have been subjected to violence and terrorism at the hands of extremists operating with impunity. Christian women and girls continue to be abducted, assaulted, tortured, and killed. Their churches are burned, and entire communities are erased. If the aid conditions included in the bill are important enough to withhold half of all the funding to the Nigerian government, then they are important enough to withhold all of the funding. The generosity of our taxpayers is a reflection of the American values we hold so firmly. Never should we allow their hard-earned tax dollars to be funneled to corrupt regimes that fail to uphold religious freedom, fail to adequately confront terrorism, and fail to protect the innocent from persecution. So why are we rewarding a government that fails to meet such a basic obligation? This amendment is simple. It does not remove the aid conditions in the bill, but only strengthens such conditions. But most importantly, it upholds a principle that all recipients of American taxpayer assistance should follow, that they must prove they are willing and able to respond to violence before receiving any funding. Simply put, meet the standard before receiving support. That is the accountability the American taxpayer deserves. Foreign aid should never be a reward for failure. So as our national debt is fast approaching $40 trillion, why on earth are we still allowing ourselves to go further into debt by rewarding corrupt foreign governments that tolerate terrorism within their borders? When churches are burned, women and girls are abducted, and terrorists operate with near impunity, that is not merely an internal disturbance, it is a direct assault on the freedoms our nation claims to defend, which our foreign assistance must reflect and uphold. This is not about punishing the Nigerian people. It is about demanding accountability for their government's complacency and ensuring that our foreign aid is leveraged to defend, reflect, and uphold American values. Even the underlying bill recognizes the Nigerian government's failure to meet the standard, yet it still allows for half of the funding to be released anyways. My amendment withholds all funds until they meet basic standards. Accountability can never be divided, nor should we allow anyone to exploit the generosity of the American taxpayer. I urge my colleagues to uphold accountability in our foreign aid spending and to vote for my amendment. I reserve.
Thank you very much, Minister of Information. What this wonderful congressman is saying here is that Nigeria is fantastically very corrupt, evil. Peter Obi, Gringo, Peter Obi, where are you? Peter Obi is part of these corrupt politicians. Tinubu, old fool. Tinubu is part of this corruption. Shetima, terrorist, co-founder of Boko Haram, is part of this corruption. Kwankwaso is part of this corruption. What about Hope Ozodinma? Part of the corruption. Soludo, Mba, Oti, Wicked, Russia, so corruption. They are all part of this corruption. What about Ali? Is it Ali Dangote? The one that gave monopoly of trade, that evil man. Dangote used his trailer to move the terrorists. Please, Honorable Minister of Information, where is Dangote? We need to know more what is, because Dangote used his trailer to move the terrorists across the whole region. Dangote is very evil man. He's evil. With this corruption going on in Nigeria, why some of you are still campaigning talking about 2027. God punish you all that still believe in 2027. Just like my oral testimony 2 days ago to suspend whatever going on with Nigeria, I made it clear. The life of the people in that region need to be protected first, before any other thing. Without the people, nothing else. Just like this great congressman, Nigeria government, they need to do the right thing. They need to make a U-turn. They need to put the interest of the people first. But this evil government, corrupt, this evil regime, just like the regime of Iran. Remember the Iranian regime, right? Iranian Islamic regime. It's the same thing with the corrupt regime government of Nigeria. Evil people. If I, Mazio Gechukwu Nkere, lay my hand on something that will enable me to deal with all the corrupt politicians, if it is to burn all of them alive, if it is to put them in one venue, blow it up. It happened in Iran. It didn't happen in Iran just because United States of America want to take all the corrupt, evil politicians of Iran out. United States of America took them out to save life. All these evil politicians, if we don't take them out to save life, we will all die. It's not a joke. They don't care about you. It's all about their politics. It's all about Islamization. It's all about killing the Christians. They don't care about you. And why some Biafrans know all this? Instead of them to support their freedom, they are there doing their buying and selling. Why some Biafrans leaders know this? Instead of them to fight for, renew their commitment, what they believe, Mazi Nnamdi Kanu is there dividing the whole house, destroying everything he worked hard for. Mazi Simon Ekpa is there preaching unity, while he is suing everybody, mad people everywhere. You cannot destroy the house you build and you think you are doing a good thing. You are actually hurting yourself. Months ago, the way I'm speaking today, if somebody approached me and say, Mazio Gechukwu Nkere, time is coming where you will call up these two leaders that you have even, went to Congress to testify and urge them to do whatever they can for their release. That you will be speaking against them this way today, I will say that will never happen. But they have disappointed me. They have disappointed the Biafran people. The Biafran people hold Mazi Nnamdi Kanu and Simon Ekpa, hold them high esteem. We respect them very much. We love them very much. But they are taking it for granted. Instead of them unifying the Biafran people, they are creating more division. Today, Mazi Nnamdi Kanu will tell you he wants 1,000 men. Tomorrow is 100 men. Next tomorrow is DOS 4th administration. The next thing you know, he needs another 5th administration. You keep dividing, destroying the house. Mazi Zuokwanike, we love you so much. What you are doing, you are not helping yourself. We love you. We want you out from there. but you don't want the Biafran people to turn against you. Simon Ekpa, his own is worst. If somebody have whispered in my ear and say this man Simon Ekpa will behave the way he's behaving now, we say how? Where? It will never happen. What change? That is why we Biafran people will ignore everything coming from Finland and Sokoto, because they might be under duress. They might be under some kind of negotiation to destroy what we are doing. And if they succeed, this struggle, this fight is over. I'm now talking to you as a Biafran. Are you going to allow these people to succeed? I go nowhere. They will not succeed in destroying this great movement. I love what I'm doing, and I know this is a great fight, a good cause. I love it. And I'm doing it perfectly well, with the best of my knowledge. I will keep fighting for you. I will keep working for you. I still remain your humble servant. I'm not your supreme leader. We only have Jehovah God, him who live in heaven, and his son, Jesus Christ, for those that don't believe in Jesus. We are Christians. Those that are preaching that Jesus is not Jesus, is a Zeus or whatever from the Greek or whatever. Please stop deceiving yourself and stop deceiving the people. We are predominantly Christians, and we also practice Judaism. We are Christians. We believe in our Lord Jesus Christ. Jesus. If you don't believe in Jesus Christ, go and hawk transformer, or go and jump inside any lagoon. That's your business. I believe in our Lord Jesus Christ, sent by our God, Jehovah God. We are Christians. Thank you, Biafrans. Keep fighting. Please, Biafra, send strong message to Azoka Wanko. Tell her to desist from her evil way. Whatever she is doing, we're going to hold her accountable. There is nothing like ESN in Biafra land. What we have is BDF, Biafra Liberation Army, and United States of America know about BDF. They don't know anything about this scam ESN. Nothing like ESN. Send this message to both Mazin Nnamdi Kanu and his group. What we have is BDF. Please, Biafrans, it's high time we wake up and do what is right. We are moving with speed. A lot is happening. And for those that are saying we are not going to Washington, D.C., taking pictures with Congress people, snapping, everything have a time. We met with those that we need to meet at a time. Our meeting is still ongoing. Very soon, you will start seeing photos coming out again. Our meeting now is high level. Not most of the meetings are not meetings that you bring out in social media. And those that are mocking our progress, keep mocking our progress while we are doing the right thing. And for those that are fighting to destroy Brgie, they want Brgie, they want this beautiful office where I'm speaking from. They want everything. They even want my suit. They want this pin. They want this beautiful US pin, flag pin. You will not get anything. Instead, I will get you. We will get you, evil people. Cut this message. Send it to Simon Ekpa, not be idiot. For him to make that move to sue Brgie, he is fantastically very stupid. I pray that Simon Ekpa be released next month so that I can confront him either in person, on the phone, on Zoom, or wherever. Thank you very much. God bless you. Keep fighting. Keep doing the good job, the good work that you are doing. Honorable Minister of Information, I believe we have one more video to play before we wrap up this broadcast. Please, can you just bring that video to the screen? Thank you very much.
Can you hear the cry from the broken land, from the wounded hearts? Nigeria, they bleed, people they cry, tears for the ground, nobody asks why. Over 7,000 souls don't fall every single day, we still there call.
Churches burning, hope fading fast. Since 2009, the pain don't last. 50,000, maybe more. Heaven they count every single soul.
Children without home tonight, mothers praying through the night, fathers lost no strength to fight. Who go stand for what is right?
Oh, stand for love, stand for life. Be the answer in this time. You can have to wipe their tears, you can calm their fears. Give a hand, don't turn away. Be the light in darkest day. Every little you provide keeps a soul alive.
Voices crying in chains, silent echoes filled with pain. 19,000 churches gone, but faith still rising, holding on. In the ashes, hope remains. Love can heal the deepest pains.
Shelter broken, dreams erased. Hungry hearts we can embrace. Let compassion take its place. Now's the time to show His grace. Stand for love, stand for life. Be the answer in this time. You can help to wipe their tears. You can calm their fears. Give a hand, don't turn away. Be the light in darkest day. Every little you provide keeps a soul alive.
Food, water, shelter, hope. You can be the miracle they pray for. You can change a life today. No matter how small it seems, your love can rebuild their dreams. Together we can make a way. Keeps us all alive.
Thank you, Minister of Information. Thank you very much. For those that don't know what we're fighting for, why we Biafran people want to exit the disgrace, scam, fraudulent country called Nigeria. According to Good Luck Jonathan Ebere, Nigeria is a scam. Good Luck Jonathan quote from Tafawa Balewa, Nnamdi Azikiwe, leaders before him. they made clear that Nigeria is not a country. United States of America, we believe, as the leader of the free world, we believe that United States of America understand and then fully aware that Nigeria is a scam. Nigeria is not a country. Nigeria is a failed state. Before 1913, there is nothing like Nigeria. Nigeria is an experiment. Nigeria is the British Empire investment or real estate. That is why Nigeria was amalgamated to last for the period of 100 years. After 100 years, the north, south, west, east will come back and renegotiate if they want the union to continue. That never happened. Nigeria has expired. That is why I urge you, Biafrans, if you have what it takes, burn down anything of Nigeria in our territory. We don't want Nigeria in our land. We are not Nigeria. Over 100 years, it didn't work. Over 100 years, Nigeria is just of darkness, no electricity, no good road, no good infrastructure, no good military is infiltrated with terrorists. Nothing will work. Nigeria is a scam. Any country in this world working with Nigerian terrorist state, that country as well is a terrorist. United States of America, being the leader of democracy, being the leader of free world, we believe and strongly believe that they will tread the right path. They have demonstrated that by bombing the terrorists. December last year, 2025, they bombed the terrorists in Sokoto. They show that they are exempted from being a terrorist country. The same United States of America Congress, they have been hammering Nigeria, threatening Nigeria how they will deal with Nigeria if they don't change their course, if Nigeria don't stop killing Christians. Then why United States of America is in the right course? What about Russia? A terrorist country of Russia. They are supporting the terrorists in Nigeria. What about terrorist country of China? China, terrorist country, they are looting, mining, supporting the same terrorists. What about Britain, the head of the terrorists? They are also a terrorist country. Any country working with Nigerian terrorist state, that country is a terrorist. Shame to all the leaders of that country. Go punish all of them. They are evil. After seeing how Christians are being, their hand being chopped off, head cut off, some sleep, just like my testimony 2 days ago. On that testimony, I also, educate some of the members that might not know that some Christians are being born alive while they sleep. Some are being butchered while they go, at their farm. Yeah. Some are being massacred in their churches. After my testimony, no member of the committee asked question or opposed what I said. If you love God, if you are a true Christian, and you don't save the life of people in that region and bring a lasting solution to have a Christian nation, and they can have the jihadist nation or jihadist country, so that peace will come to that region. If you're not doing that, you are a terrorist. If EU, European Union, don't change their course, scammer will be their portion. What goes around will come around. These terrorists that they sponsor in Nigeria, the same terrorists will go and terrorize them in EU. That's why in UK today, in Britain, some part of Britain have been overrun by these terrorists. Stop your evil way. Over 70% of EU identify themselves as Christians. If they truly worship God, if they truly believe in Jesus Christ, their Lord and Savior, why are these Christians from Europe are not coming to save the Christians in Biafra land or in Nigeria? Shame to all these fake Christians. That is why my Lord, my Savior, Jesus Christ, call them out, call them by name, call them Pharisees, Sadducees, evil people, workers of iniquity. Say, get away from me, you workers of iniquity. Evil people everywhere. If you're a Biafra, every Sunday, instead of you paying your tithe to all these so-called reverend, bishop, pope, this, that tithe that they are not using to save your life, bring your tithe into Biafran struggle so we can use that tithe to chase these terrorists out of our land. Don't let no one deceive you and scam you. Not everyone who said, Lord, Lord, will enter into the kingdom of God. Not every pastor, reverend, bishop, pope that said Jesus Christ, you will believe. Follow him who practice what he preach. Anyone who don't tell you how you will be saved from these terrorists, if you think just fasting and prayer will solve that problem, ask United States of America how to solve the problem. Ask the great state of Israel how to solve the problem. Do you know how they solve the problem? Look at what is happening to the Iranian regime. They are bombing the hell out of Iran. They are taking down the terrorists. That's how you solve the problem. That is the kind of fasting and prayer United States of America and Israel conduct. And that is how only the language these terrorists hear. Thank you very much. We're going to play the voice of this evil woman called Azuka Wankwo. She knew we have a BDF. We are in liberation mood. And she and her group, whether with Mazin Nnamdi Kanu and others, they want to destroy everything. They are using the Nigerian playbook. And they want to take us back. It will not work. Pakiano. Mazin Nnamdi Kanu, if you know you are out there to destroy Biafra, stop it. We respect you. We appreciate everything you have done. Please, keep your good name. Don't destroy that symbol. Don't destroy that name. Don't destroy it. Don't let Biafran people call you by name. Don't let Biafran people like somebody like me turn my back against you. Because what I'm seeing now is that you are sabotaging, deliberately destroying everything just because you are not the one out here piloting it. We'll be fighting, doing everything. Upon your release, you come on board. But now that you are not free, let us get the job done. Thank you very much. Honorable Minister of Information, please play this audio here. And for those with Simon Ekpa, if you know you are visiting him today, tomorrow, tell him to stop sabotaging Biafra. As he stands, if you tell me that Simon Ekpa is in prison because of Biafra in Finland, foul. That's fantastically lie. He is betraying this movement as he stands now. Thank you very much.
You are not the one that will tell me that the Biafra has been redeclared. I am the one that will tell you because you are not in. You are not in. You only seen it and seen it on social media. You don't know when it was declared. We are the people planned it. We are the people that make it to be happen. Do you understand? We worked harder 90% with Prime Minister before the Prime Minister went in. We work 90%. Do you know what I mean by 90%? When somebody said that I am with this person, I am working with him for 90%. This is I work 90% with the Prime Minister before he went in. So you are not the one that will tell me. You don't know even me. You don't know even me. Some of us in this platform, you don't know them. We work harder with the Prime Minister than before you. So what we are saying is this: we are working with Onyendu Mazi Nnamdi Kanu. I am not working with any other person. Do you understand me? Who I am working with now is Mazi Nnamdi Kanu. And every command and every order that I take now comes from him. He is the one that I heard his voice before joining the struggle. Yes, my brother, listen to it very well. I said that we told Onyendu concerning the security that we organized after the beast in Abia State destroyed the schools, boys. Then we bring them together and organize them together. With some other states, which I mentioned, Warri, Akwa Ibom, Abakaliki, Seka, and Imo State. Yes, Onyendu told us that all these things is good. That's the area he said that we will go and bring them together in one command, being enemy. That is where he's saying. But remember that we complained to him that enemy is even Butuzo and some of the commanders are complaining bitterly concerning enemy. Although he persists that every command must always still come from enemy. And I said that when we come to Abia State here, we have done 50 to 70% of what Onyendu told us to do in Abia State by bringing all the schools, both to autopilots, both to Bikris, both to Liberation Army. We have bring them together. We are having series of meeting in Abia State here. We have done 60 to 70% of that in Abia State, and we will be doing it. And although I will call you later because we need to extend it to Imo State. We need to extend it to Enugu. I have the contact of the whole commanders in Enugu State. I have the contact of the whole commanders in Ebonyi State. We are communicating. As I'm talking to you now, we are communicating with the Ebonyi State and the Enugu State monitors. We are communicating with them. Do you understand me? Even part of some Imo State, we communicate with them. Imo State, we communicate with them. So in a shortly time, we will bring all of them together in a place which Onyendu, you heard it from Onyendu. Onyendu said that we will have a meeting, and that meeting, he will pilot it from the Sokoto, and the meeting we hold, but not in the east. You heard when he said it in that Sokoto. So, and when we bring everybody together, we call the meeting, which Onyendu will pilot that meeting on himself, as he said that he will be on that meeting. Are working for Onyendu. We are not working for any other person. Every command now that we will take now comes from Onyendu. Do you understand me? Madam Azuka, you know her very well. She's having meeting almost 2 times every day with Onyendu. And she's bringing every information from Onyendu. That is how it goes. So whatever that Onyendu wants now, he will tell Madam Azoka, and Madam Azoka will bring it to us. That's why we communicate with Onyendu, we work with Onyendu. So we are not against any Onyendu. And those that doesn't need to work with us, you can't force them. The only thing that you know that person is your enemy, and you need to be distant yourself from them. You understand me? So that is what I am saying. Thank you very much, my brother. We are working in one goal. We are now comes from Onyendu. Do you understand me? Madam Azuka, you know her very well. She's having meeting almost 2 times every day with Onyendu. And she's bringing every information from Onyendu. Every information from Onyendu. That is how it goes. So whatever that
Minister, am I coming out?
Yes, sir. Yes.
Yeah, listening to this crowd make you wonder. I know and I believe Biafrans are wise. I believe we have come on. Look at this old fool. This man speaking probably going to be on his late 40s or early 50s or even early 60s. He want to take command from somebody in prison. The little respect left for these people is just disappearing every day. And Mazin Nnamdi Kanu, I don't really want to blame him. He been in the hand of the enemy for years now, not one, not two, not three. Like I said last time, nobody will be locked up for 1 day, 1 week, 2 weeks, 1 month, 1 year, and we remain normal. Will be okay. He can only regain himself upon his release, upon his freedom. And he also going to take some time for him to fully recover. And all these idiots, these fools, want to take order from him. Even if Mazin Nnamdi Kanu believe he is the Messiah of Biafran people, he is the supreme leader of Biafran people, of which he is not my Messiah. He's not my supreme leader. I can respect him as a person. I can respect his impact, what he have done for us. But if he want to be carried away because of that, and he believed that I have over 70 millions of Biafrans can't govern themselves. He believed that even this old fool cannot even give command to those that are outside here. He got a problem. So we don't want to really judge him until he's released, because mentally he probably can be having problem. Yes, please, Biafrans, it's high time we move past this emotional, because we love him. For that reason, whatever he say goes. So if Mazin Nnamdi Kanu from Sokoto tell you to stop fighting for Biafra, will you stop? Like I said last month, if he say keep going, that might mean don't go nowhere. If he says sit down, it might be a coded word, stand up. Do you think the Nigerian government don't listen to his conversation? Do you think they don't monitor him? Do you think they are not trying to use him as well to see if they can destroy this movement? First of all, before they kidnap him from Kenya and extraordinary rendition him, they did not kidnap him to come and treat him like a king in their zoo country called Nigeria. They did not kidnap him to come and to give him Biafra. They kidnapped him to stop Biafra. And they are using him to stop Biafra now before your very own eye. Madam Azoka Chineke idiot. People are evil. All of you following, doing zombie, body average group, all of you. Instead of you all to step up, speak up, take the mantle, be a man. You want a man who is not free to save you. that is free. Rather, it's supposed to be you, the free man, that will save him. I saw these guys in Israel. I say yesterday. All they will be talking about Mazin Nnamdi Kanu, free man. They abandoned Biafra. Not knowing that why Mazin Nnamdi Kanu is there because of Biafra. First of all, save the Biafra that he's fighting for. If you don't save that Biafra, you want to save Mazin Nnamdi Kanu, that means everything you have worked hard for, everything you have worked for, will in vain. Foolish people everywhere. Let's say Mazin Nnamdi Kanu is released today, and he abandoned Biafra, or Biafra is totally destroyed, we cannot even fight for our freedom again. That means everything he has sacrificed for is now in vain. That means he console all those that have died in the hand of our enemies. They all die in vain. That means over 3 million plus that was starved, massacred to death from 1967 to 1970. That means they all die in vain. That means you and I, for years that are fighting to free our people, everything we work for will be in vain. I rather die and save Biafra. Biafra will not die to save me. That is why I am a son of Biafra. Honorable Minister of Information, I think it would be wise if we can take 1 or 2 questions. If not, but I believe this message is well delivered. Azok Adula, all your evil people, I don't know who all of you are. The land of Biafra, we arrest you all. You all are accountable for all your evil. Instead of to support what we are doing, we are moving the right direction. What you all want to do, drag us backward. IPOB was formed or started since 2012. From 2012 to today, what is the result? As organization, that we are moving forward, pushing harder, is after Biafra Republic government in Ezra was formed. IPOB as organization, didn't they have a lobby before? A lobby that they spend over millions for. Is there any result? The answer is no. Just because the template they are using is wrong. Just because we have a good preacher, Mazin Nnamdi Kanu, we have a good educator, a good lecturer, a good exposition through him, but did he have the template of what exactly we need to do? Just a few weeks ago, Kanu released the organogram of IPOB. First, you have their so-called supreme leader, which is not in our dictionary, in our tradition, in Biafra land or Igbo land. Nothing like supreme leader in the Arab. After that, you have council of elders. Which country in this world, in this modern age, 21st century, practice that kind of system of governance? Because of all this, a lot of people that are supposed to join this struggle are mocking us, are laughing at us. Please, if you want of them, go to our website, Biafra Republic Government, biafrarepublicgovernment.org. Send us message, please, and everything we do with you will be anonymous. We won't make it public. We will educate you and we enlighten you. We need you on board. Now we are getting it right. All that time of worshiping, leader this, leader that, is over. Thank you very much. God bless United States of America. God bless Republic. Not quite USB, not till like USB. God bless Republic of Biafra, of which Biafra Republic government in Ezra is fighting to restore the lost glory, Republic of Biafra. Thank you.
In the heart of Africa, a nation bleeds. Not from a single wound, but from 1,000 cuts, inflicted by a forced union, never meant to endure. This is the story of Nigeria. A giant built on false foundations, now straining beneath the weight of its own contradictions. And at the center of that storm stands the unbroken spirit of Biafra, crying out for freedom from a nightmare that has consumed millions. It began with the rivers of blood in 1966. Thousands of Biafran men, women and children, professionals, traders, students and families who had built lives across the Federation became targets in the northern city, fueled by ethnic hatred and religious hostility. Mobs descended upon innocent civilians. They were slaughtered in their homes, in crowded markets, and aboard trains carrying desperate families back to the east. Streets were littered with bodies, rivers choked with corpses. Survivors returned to the east carrying trauma, grief, and the painful realization that they were no longer wanted in the Nigerian Union. Biafra, Biafra, voice of truth and freedom. Biafra.
Thank you so much, and welcome back to Voice of Biafra Television. And a very big thank you to the Prime Minister of the Biafra Republic government in exile. And I wish to take some questions and answers, but there are some technical issues on our audio system. And we hope to take questions and answers in our next episode on Voice of Biafra TV. Support Brgie and support our town hall meeting, support our fundraising, and support every activities of Brgie that is available to you, because Brgie is the only engine that has to take us to Biafra. It's only in Brgie that you get the message the way it is. It is only in Brgie that you get to understand what the Biafran people have achieved and what they are up to and what you should do for Biafra to come. Since after the convention in Finland in November and December 2024, the only government that has kept Nigeria on a very hot spot is this very government of Brgie. These diplomatic engagement photos you see here are not just mere photos. They are photos that delivers results. And today the Nigerian government are crying and they are peeing on their panties. While Brgie continue to work very strong, you cannot harm Brgie, because this is not the time of hope. Like the Prime Minister said, we have gone past the time of protesting in the street with flags, agitating and calling on people to come around. We are on the table of diplomatic engagement. We are having tough talks and discussions with the US government behind the scene, while you sit back to see the results. Everything is done on social media now. We decide what you have to see on social media. because we've upgraded and gone to a point that is very sophisticated. Brgie unveiled new commands of the BDF a few weeks ago, and it was immediately after the unveiling of this new intelligence command of BDF that Nigerian government decided to launch excessive attack on Brgie. That is when you now saw the emergence of this audio that we just played, where some people are saying Mazuka is the one that has decided to spearhead these destructive tendencies of parading the madness of ESN. So the question we should ask is, why didn't they parade this madness of ESN all the way from 2021? Mazi Nnamdi Kanu was kidnapped and locked up because of what? ESN. So tell any sane person and ask them, how could the same Nigerian government that kidnapped Mazi Nnamdi Kanu for ESN, because of ESN, now mandate him to stay inside the prison in Sokoto today and relaunch or form another ESN? Anyone doing such and spearheading such wants Mazi Nnamdi Kanu killed and buried inside Sokoto prison. And we don't mix words when we say it the way it is. It is for your own good, for some of you that have been misled. We understand that in freedom fighting, many people use propaganda as a tool of war and as a weapon. But do not be the fool that will be used to carry out this very act, because it will be very, very bad to you. You cannot stay inside prison to lead the Biafran people. You cannot also sue the same Brgie, the same Biafran government that has been in Washington, D.C. to submit petitions in your favor against Nigeria and for Biafra. I wonder if our past leaders in prison happen to take time to read the scripts given to them by Nigerian government before they execute it, because it is called destroying yourself, destroying everything that you have worked and built for, both the reputation or the respect to the achievement. You've used only one attempt to derail everything. I thank you all, dear friends. Apologies for our inabilities to open the line because of some technical issues, and we promise to fix that in our next episode of Voice of Biafra TV. Tomorrow is fundraising, and as you all know, the website to the Brgie is open on daily basis. Please visit there and contribute your quota to support the diplomatic work of Brgie. America will not give us Biafra from America. America will support us with what we have done. It is what we have done that will promulgate into America responding to the request that we need. So we must push ahead and do something first. Just like PM said, if you abandon Biafra and abandon Brgie as the government of Biafra going forward to get Biafra, and then you say you're focusing on only your past leaders inside prison, so that means Biafra will be dead for the next 10 years that your past leaders are inside prison. And by the time those your past leaders are locked up for the next 50 years, Biafra is gone for the next 50 years, because you have stopped to go forward. You only want to focus on getting those your past leaders out of prison. It is the mentality of a fool. Whoever has advised all of you that have been misled in this way is evil. And I see that some of you are not just acting on the instructions of others or advice of others, but you are also using your evil mind. Because I can see that many of you that came and were shouting, Bato BA, Mazi Nnamdi Kanu is another savior, oh, Brgie is the way forward. You did not mean it from your own heart. You were hoping to see opportunity of usurping powers and destroying things. But because Okechukwu, the Prime Minister, has resisted so hard, you can't go anywhere. You now see that you are locked in between. And because you're locked in between and you're in disgrace, you can't go front, you can't go backward. All you have to do is to exit. So when you exit, there is this tendency of you either join the enemy to destroy what was already built, which you had attempted to destroy from inside and you couldn't succeed. So you can likely join the enemies from outside to launch the attack and see if you can destroy everything. But we promise you, until you eliminate all of us,